Hello everyone, this is Olaf only. I just wanted to make a new video and I thought this concept was pretty interesting because most high elo players don't really share their bad habits and stuff, and I thought maybe you guys can learn from my mistakes as well. So I'm just gonna list my most common mistakes here and that I still do to this day in fact, and hopefully you can learn from them. Enjoy the video. So this mistake is about throwing your axes in lane. And a big problem that I have is that I tend to just throw my axe randomly to the enemy like this. You see, sometimes I miss because I don't really pay attention to where I actually throw them. I basically just do it on autopilot and I just throw it because I have a small window to do so. But what I've noticed and has improved my aiming a lot with the axes is if you actually focus a tiny bit on your mouse cursor as well as the enemy, you can sort of track them much better than if you just randomly go for a flick shot, so to say. So instead of going like from here to here, like that, if you just track him like this, it's super easy to land Qs most of the time. Like that. So you guarantee every single Q, because as you know, Olaf's mana costs in lane is incredibly high, and if you miss like 2 axes or something, that can really cost you the lane. So it's really important to make use of every single axe and try to land them. So this is a mistake I've been doing frequently, and that has to do with farming the jungle camps during the game. Before, I almost never farmed the jungle camps. I always went back to base and went straight up top lane. But if you can find a window to clear the jungle, you will actually be able to extend your lead by quite a lot. So always try to do that if you find the time. This is a big mistake that I still do to this day, and it has to do with wave management. What I mean by this is that if you push the wave and the enemy jungler is top, you might die to a gank, and it's really risky. So what you want to do is have the wave at your turret if the jungler is nearby. But in this example I will show you what happens if you by mistake push the wave to the enemy. So here you see me chasing this Kled out of lane. He will teleport back top lane. I will throw one single Q that will ruin the lane for the next few minutes. And I will also die to a gank by the enemy jungler because the only way for me to get the XP right here is to walk up and risk dying, which I will do. So this is a very important thing that you have to understand, and if you can improve on this, you will almost never die to ganks ever. So in this example I'm gonna show you a minor mistake that I tend to do almost every game, and it has to do with ward placement. So what I mean here is that in this example you will see me putting a ward down randomly in the brush, and the thing you should take away from this is that you should always place it at the end of the brush. Because let's say they have an enemy Hecarim coming up this river, and if I have my ward at the top of the brush, I probably won't be able to react in time for the gank. But if I place the ward much deeper, I would have the time to react and fall back. So always try to ward at the end of brushes, because that can save you a lot of ganks actually. So this mistake has to do with you and your jungler. Whenever your jungler goes for Scuttle Crab topside, it's very important that you try to push level 1 so that you can help him secure it. So this is yet another minor mistake that I don't do to this day, but I did in the past, and it has to do with the rune Klepto-users. So whenever you face someone with Klepto-users, like Kale for this example, it's very important that you don't give her any stacks of gold at all. You have to realize that Klepto-users is not a combat rune. It basically just gives them gold for core items, and if you can delay their core items by not touching them in the lane, that's already a win for you, because you will have a scaling rune and they won't. So this is just an example that I still do this mistake sometimes. As you can see here, I got hit like 4 or 5 times by Hero Klepto for no reason. So just always try to avoid every single Klepto proc. Now let's talk about what I consider is my biggest weakness out of everything, and that has to do with the jungle tracking. Knowing where the enemy jungler is at all times it just opens up so many windows for you to play aggressively. Whereas if you don't know where the jungler is, you almost always have to play passive. But if you actually can like figure out where the enemy jungler is, even if you don't have vision, that will give you so many opportunities to snowball the game. And me as of right now, I have no idea how the jungle works. I have no idea what the pathing is. All I do is I look on the map and see if the enemy jungler is there, and if it's not on the map, I just play passive. But if I see him bot side, that's when I go in. So next up, I'm gonna talk about Olaf's W, Vicious Strikes. And one thing that I do wrong a lot of the time is I activate my W way too early. So let's say this is an enemy, I Q him, I activate my W before I even reach him, and he might even run away, you know? And if he just runs away here, my W is actually wasted completely. So one big thing that you have to keep in mind is try to save your W if you're low on HP, or if you're in like a 2v1 situation. And it's really bad to activate it like this, because most of the time they will just run away, and let's say the jungler comes in here, tries to gank you, then your W is on CD, and without W you can never 2v1. So it's very important to save your W for the most crucial situation. My next mistake or bad habit also has to do with my Q, and a lot of the time I throw my Q slightly too short where I don't hit the target, and that usually costs me a lot of kills. My recommendation to all of you is to always try and land the Q, but just don't go too far and don't go too low. My problem right now is that I almost all the time throw it too short, so just try to guarantee the Q hit rather than maximizing it. And there is one more final thing that I'd like to mention, and that has to do with your typing and arguing with teammates. So if you ever come in a situation where you get flamed or you flame someone else, the best thing you can do is to just mute everyone and just focus on the game, and just talk after game if you really want to. Because typing actually impacts your game a lot more than you think, and if you just try to keep your mental strong and just type after the game, it will save you a lot of wins actually, so keep that in mind.